Have you ever looked at your bowl of cornflakes and wondered how they got so crunchy? Believe it or not, corn has an amazing story that began thousands of years ago in ancient Mexico and now spans the entire globe. Ready to learn how a single kernel of corn turns into one of the world's favorite breakfast cereals? Let's get started. Corn is one of the most important crops on Earth. Every year, farmers grow over 1 billion metric tons of it. That's more than almost any other crop you can name. Countries like the United States, China, and Brazil grow so much corn that you could fill entire stadiums with it. This corn feeds people, farm animals, and even helps make things like fuel and plastic. A long time ago, people in what is now Mexico grew a wild plant called teosinte. Over many years, they turned this plant into the bigger, sweeter corn we know today. Back then, corn was so valuable that ancient civilizations treated it like a gift from the gods. When explorers traveled the world, they took corn with them. Soon, farmers everywhere were planting it and finding new ways to use it. Thanks to modern machines and science, we can turn corn into many products from cooking oil and sweet syrup to biodegradable plastics. But one of its most famous uses is the cornflake, the crunchy breakfast cereal enjoyed by millions of people every morning. It's amazing to think that a crop once revered by ancient farmers now sits on grocery shelves worldwide. Next, let's find out how high-tech harvesters and sorting machines handle millions of corn cobs at lightning speed. Let's dive in. Imagine fields of tall corn plants stretching as far as the eye can see. These fields can be so big, you might not see the end if you stood in the middle of them. Farmers use giant machines called combine harvesters to gather corn quickly. One combine can collect more corn in an hour than a group of farmers could do in a whole day using old-fashioned tools. Today's combines are high-tech marvels. They use satellite technology called GPS to drive in super straight lines, making sure every stalk of corn gets collected. Some farmers even use drones to fly over their fields and take pictures of the plants. These images help them see if the corn is growing well or if certain areas need more water or fertilizer. This process is called precision farming, and it means less waste and healthier crops. Once the combines fill up their storage tanks with corn, the kernels or whole ears, corn cobs, are loaded onto big trucks. These trucks drive the harvest over to a processing plant or factory. Inside the factory, the corn is unloaded and moves through conveyor belts that carry it from one machine to the next. One of the first machines you'll see is a sorting system. Think of it like a super smart robot with special cameras and lights that can look at each corn cob in just a split second. It checks for things like color, size, and shape. If the cob isn't good enough, maybe it's too small or has damage, it gets sent away to be used for something else, like animal feed. Only the best cobs continue forward to become the cornflakes we love. Sorting might seem boring, but it's actually really important. It helps factories use the best quality corn for making cereal. That means less waste and better flavor for the final product. Plus, it makes sure that any corn with bugs or mold never makes it into your bowl. Now that we've seen how high-tech farming and early sorting work together to pick the best corn, it's time to look at how the kernels get separated and prepared for the next steps. In our next segment, we'll dive into the mechanical magic that turns whole corn cobs into perfectly clean kernels, ready to become those crispy golden flakes. After the corn cobs pass inspection, they head to a special area where machines carefully remove the kernels. These machines work a bit like giant tumblers you might see at a fair. Instead of spinning bingo balls, they gently roll the cobs around so the kernels pop off without getting crushed. It's almost like a smooth, choreographed dance just with corn. How do these machines do it so smoothly? They use rotation, gravity, and gentle pressure to separate the kernels from the cob. By spinning the cobs at just the right speed, the kernels fall off and collect on a moving conveyor belt below. If they spin too fast, the kernels might get damaged. If they spin too slowly, the job takes forever. So machines are programmed to find the sweet spot where everything works perfectly. You might wonder, why not just smash the kernels off? Well, if kernels get smashed or cracked, they might not cook evenly later on. That can affect the taste and texture of the final cornflake. Using a gentler method means fewer broken kernels, less waste, and tastier cereal in your bowl. Once the kernels are free, they take a quick trip through a washing system. Think of it like a mini water ride just for corn. Clean water sprays the kernels to remove bits of dust or silk from the husks. Some factories even use ultrasonic waves like tiny vibrations in the water to shake off any leftover dirt. This step makes sure the kernels are squeaky clean and ready for the next part of their journey. Before the kernels leave this station, another set of sensors and cameras do a final check. If any kernel is too small, too big, or looks damaged, it gets sorted out. By now, only the very best kernels remain, making sure your future bowl of cornflakes will taste great. Now that our kernels are separated, cleaned, and carefully checked, they're ready to be milled into the perfect ingredients. In our next segment, we'll see how factories use super precise machines to grind and shape these kernels into the building blocks of your favorite breakfast cereal. After being cleaned and sorted, our perfect corn kernels move on to the milling stage. Milling sounds fancy, but it basically means grinding or crushing kernels into smaller pieces. Factories use big, powerful machines with metal rollers and sieves to do this job. Think of it like a super strong blender that can handle huge amounts of corn at once, way more than you could ever imagine. Milling isn't just a single smash-and-go process. The rollers crush the kernels at different speeds and pressures, separating the softer inside, the endosperm, from the outer layers, the bran, and the oily part, the germ. Each part of the kernel can be used for different things. For example, the bran might go into animal feed, and the germ could be pressed for corn oil. As the ground-up corn passes through multiple stages of screens or filters, smaller particles fall through first, while bigger pieces get sent back for more milling. This step-by-step approach makes sure every bit of corn is used in the best way possible and nothing goes to waste. During milling, some kernels are turned into corn flour, which can be used for tortillas or baked goods. But for cornflakes, we need something called corn grits, small, coarse pieces of the endosperm. These grits are the main ingredient that will soon become those crispy flakes in your breakfast bowl. At each step, sensors and workers check the corn to make sure it meets the right size and quality standards. If something's off, like the particles are too big or too dusty, they adjust the machines to fix the issue. This way, only the best grits move forward, guaranteeing a great final product. Now that the kernels have been carefully milled into the perfect grits, it's time for the big transformation. In our next segment, we'll see how these grits get cooked, rolled, and toasted into the crispy cornflakes we all know and love. After milling, we end up with corn grits, the raw material for cornflakes. The next step is cooking those grits to make them soft and ready for shaping. Factories use giant pressure cookers that combine the grits with water and sometimes a little flavoring. Think of it like cooking rice at home, but on a much larger scale. The heat and moisture cause the starch inside each grit to swell up a fancy way of saying they get soft and squishy. Once the grits are cooked, they move on to the flaking rollers. Picture two huge metal rollers squishing the grits until they're super thin. This is how we get that flat, round shape you see in every cornflake. Because the cooked grits are soft, they can be shaped without crumbling apart. The rollers are so precise, they can make the flakes nearly the exact same thickness every time. Right after rolling, the flakes are still a bit wet from the cooking process. To fix that, they go through a drying chamber. Powerful fans blow hot air over the flakes, removing extra moisture. This helps them keep their shape and get ready for the final step, turning that pale, soft flake into the crispy, golden treat we all love. If cornflakes weren't cooked and rolled just right, they'd be too thick or too soggy, and wouldn't have that perfect crunch. The combination of heat, pressure, and careful drying is what sets the stage for that satisfying snap when you bite down. Now that our cornflakes are formed and dried, it's time to toast them to a delicious golden brown. In the next segment, we'll dive into the toasting process that brings out the flavor and crunch, making your breakfast bowl truly unforgettable. After being cooked, rolled, and dried, our cornflakes are ready for their big moment toasting. Factories use long, tunnel-like ovens where flakes travel slowly along a moving belt. Picture a giant toaster that's many feet long and keeps a steady, warm temperature. As the flakes move through, they turn from pale and soft into the golden brown cereal we know and love. Getting the texture just right is a balancing act. If the oven's too hot or the flakes stay inside too long, they'll burn. If the temperature's too low or the flakes don't stay in long enough, they'll end up chewy instead of crispy. Factories use sensors to watch the flakes' color and moisture level, adjusting the temperature and speed to make sure every flake toasts evenly. As the cornflakes toast, they develop a nutty smell and a sweet, roasted flavor. This is because the natural sugars in the corn react with the heat. It's the same reason why bread smells so good when it's in the toaster. By the time these flakes exit the oven, they're light, crunchy, and delicious, just waiting for milk or a snack bowl to bring them to life. Right after toasting, the flakes go through a cooling station. Large fans blow air over them, lowering the temperature quickly. Cooling keeps the flakes from getting soggy or continuing to brown. It's sort of like taking cookies out of the oven and letting them rest on a rack at home. They need that final step to lock in flavor and texture. Our cornflakes are now officially crunchy, but they're not done yet. Next, we'll see how they're packaged and protected so that every box you pick up at the store is fresh, tasty, and ready to brighten your morning. Once the cornflakes are toasted and cooled, they head straight to the packaging area. Here, special machines quickly weigh and measure the flakes before pouring them into boxes or bags. This process happens in a flash, sealing in the crunchy goodness so your cornflakes stay fresh until you pour them into your bowl. Many cereal boxes are made from recycled paper, which helps save trees and energy. Some companies even use biodegradable or compostable materials to help the planet. The inner plastic bag, which keeps moisture out, is sometimes made from thinner or eco-friendly plastics, so it's easier to recycle. Every little improvement makes a difference in reducing waste. Packaging machines have cameras and sensors to make sure the correct amount of cereal goes into each box. These sensors also check for leaks or holes in the plastic bags. If something's wrong, the system automatically stops and alerts the workers. This ensures that every box that leaves the factory is safe and sealed. No one wants stale or spoiled cornflakes. Factories are finding new ways to use less energy, water, and materials. Some use solar panels on their rooftops or wind turbines nearby to generate their own electricity. Others recycle the water used for cleaning and even turn leftover corn parts into animal feed or biofuel. All these steps help lower pollution and protect the environment for future generations. With our cornflakes safely tucked into boxes and factories doing their part to go green, we're almost at the end of this incredible journey. Up next, we'll explore the bigger picture of how corn and cornflakes connect people around the world and what the future might hold for this breakfast favorite. Cornflakes aren't only a tasty morning meal, they're part of a huge global story. Corn itself is grown in almost every corner of the world, feeding people, farm animals, and even powering some cars through biofuels. When you eat a bowl of cornflakes, you're enjoying the result of thousands of years of farming, research, and creativity. From the farmers who plant and care for the corn, to the truck drivers who transport it, to the factory workers who cook and package each flake, countless people have a hand in getting that cereal to your table. In many ways, it's like a big team effort that links local communities and global markets. Scientists and engineers are always finding new ways to grow and process corn. They might invent machines that use less water or develop seeds that resist pests better. This helps us handle challenges like climate change and population growth, so we can keep producing enough food for everyone. Thanks to modern methods, cornflakes can be fortified with vitamins and minerals, making breakfast more nutritious. There are also many flavors and varieties of cornflakes around the world. Some have chocolate, others have fruit. This variety shows how something as simple as a corn kernel can be turned into all kinds of delicious treats. Next time you pour yourself a bowl of cornflakes, remember the incredible journey each little flake took, from towering fields of corn to high-tech factories, all the way to your kitchen table. It's a story of teamwork, innovation, and respect for nature, one that shows how a small seed can have a huge impact around the globe. If you want to discover more about how everyday foods are made, be sure to check out our other videos. Until next time, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.